Niccolò Machiavelli, 1513. A Florentine diplomat sits in prison, tortured, losing everything. And he writes a book that 500 years later remains the most honest textbook on how to manage people. But today we're not talking about politics. We're talking about you. Why do you still live with someone you don't love? Why do you stay at a job you hate? Why do you complain about your president but vote for the same party? Because you fear change. And Machiavelli explained this mechanism 500 years ago better than any modern coach. Today we break down chapter 3 of The Prince on mixed monarchies and extract the main lesson of psychology. Why the new always seems worse than the old, even when the old is garbage. Machiavelli writes literally the following. I quote, "People generally, from a desire to improve their lot, are inclined to change their rulers. This reason very often makes them take up arms against an existing government, and only then see their mistake when through experience they learn that instead of improvement, they have only made things worse." Stop for a second. Machiavelli says, people change power bosses, partners, because they want something better, and they get something worse. Always. Why? Because any new ruler, new boss, new spouse, new country is forced to oppress, even if he is kind, even if he meant well. Machiavelli explains, to establish his authority, he is usually forced to burden the newly acquired country with heavy taxes for maintaining an army, and countless other unjust levies. In modern psychological language, when you change your life, you pay a tax of change at first. Fatigue, anxiety, loss of money, loneliness. And most people cannot handle this stage. They thought it would become easier, but it became harder, so they run back. That is why people go back to their exes. That is why they vote for the same politicians a year after a revolution. That is why you finish yesterday's leftovers even though you wanted pizza. Machiavelli gives us the first very harsh lesson of self-knowledge. Your desire for change is deceived by your fear of temporary hardship. You are not afraid of the new. You are afraid that the new will be worse at first. Machiavelli gives a historical example. The French king Louis G conquered Milan easily. The people themselves invited him because they hated the previous tyrant. And what happens? A year later Milan rebels and drives out the French. Why? The same people who helped him take the city, seeing themselves deceived in their hopes and not receiving the benefits they expected, refused to bear the burden of the new government. That is, people call for a new ruler expecting paradise, and they get taxes, soldiers quartered in their homes, bureaucracy, and they immediately become disappointed. They do not give the new power any time. Machiavelli makes a very important point. He says if the rebellion is suppressed, then the second government will be strong, because the victor, using the revolt as an excuse, stops being restrained. He executes the disobedient, removes the suspicious. Paradoxically, change does not take root the first time. To truly change something, you must go through crisis, rebellion, suppression, and only then does stability arrive. How does this relate to you? You tried to quit smoking. You failed. You tried to start a business. You went bankrupt. You tried to leave an abusive partner. You came back. Machiavelli says, this is normal. The first pancake is always lumpy. But if you do not try a second time, you are like those citizens of Milan who stayed forever under the old tyrant. Notice that Machiavelli does not call for violence. He simply states a law of nature. Change requires cruelty to yourself. You cannot change your life without destroying something old. And destruction hurts. That is why 80% of people stay in their own hell. Hell is familiar. Heaven is a risk. Machiavelli introduces a brilliant distinction that will now explain your entire life. He says there are states organized like Turkey. There is one ruler, the Sultan, and everyone else is his slave. Subjects are attached to no one but the Sultan. And there are states like France. There is a king, but there are also dukes, counts, barons, each with his own land, his own army, his own clientele. People have an identity not only with the king, but also with their local lord. And here is what matters. Conquering Turkey is hard, but keeping it is easy. Just kill the Sultan and you are done. Conquering France is easy, but keeping it is impossible, because every baron can start a rebellion. Now translate this into the language of the psychology of change. Is your personality organized as Turkey or as France? If your personality is like Turkey, you have one main habit, one identity, one anchor. For example, I am a bank manager. I am Kochu's husband. I am a healthy person. Remove that one thing and everything collapses. Such people are destroyed by change because they fall into an identity crisis. If your personality is like France, you have many small lords, hobbies, friends, skills, values, memories. You can lose your job, but remain a father, a runner, a guitar player. You have an internal aristocracy. Such people survive change much more easily. Machiavelli, without knowing it, described psychological resilience for 100 years before the term coping resources existed. That is why Machiavelli advises conquerors of foreign lands, meaning those who have experienced change, not to destroy local elites completely, but to integrate them into the new system. Because elites are your insurance. In your life, elites are your different roles and skills. Do not burn them in pursuit of a single goal. Do not say, I will quit my job and only freelance, if you have never had a single small order before. You would have destroyed your France and left only one Turkey, and then you will fall. So what to do? Machiavelli would not be Machiavelli if he did not give specific instructions. I have gathered them from various chapters. Rule 1 from Chapter E. Do not start change if you are not ready for the first worsening. Sit down and honestly tell yourself, the first 3 months will be crap. If you accept that, act. If not, do not start. It is better to sit in the old crap than to fall into new crap at full speed. Rule 2 from Chapter V on cruelty. Do all unpleasant steps at once. Do not stretch the pain. If you want to quit, quit in one day. Do not walk around with a resignation letter in your pocket for 6 months. If you want to divorce, file the papers. Do not torture yourself and your partner with breaks. Machiavelli says, all necessary cruelties should be done at once, so that people calm down faster. Rule 3 from Chapter X, on the people and the nobles. Rely on the people, not on the elite. What does this mean in self-knowledge? Your internal people are your body, your sleep, your basic calm. Your internal elite are your ambitions, perfectionism, the desire to become the best immediately. When starting change, first satisfy the people. Sleep, eat, create a safe space. Only then engage the elite. Otherwise, you will burn out. Rule 4 from Chapter X. When you are weak, build one fortress. Do not try to defend everything. Machiavelli advises a weak state. Do not have scattered armies. Instead, strengthen the capital. In your life, if you are in crisis, lost your job, got sick, divorced, do not take on 10 projects. Choose one. Health, one source of money, one close person. Make that city impregnable. Let the rest burn. And do you know what is funny? Machiavelli wrote The Prince when he himself was going through the harshest change. He was not executed, but he was tortured. He was fired, exiled, he begged. And he did not give up. He used his own lesson of change. He built a fortress, his mind, his manuscript. He did not try to return to politics immediately. He just wrote. And this book outlived all his enemies. Machiavelli died in poverty. His name became synonymous with cunning. But 500 years later we still read him. And who remembers the names of those who tortured him? No one. Here is the main conclusion. Change is not about happiness now. Change is about having your name remembered 500 years later, or at least being able to respect yourself in the mirror. So, not fearing change is impossible. Fear is normal. Machiavelli does not tell you to be fearless, he tells you to be calculating. What you should actually fear. Not change itself, but the illusion that it will be good immediately. Not risk, but the fact that you have not built a fortress. Not resistance, but the fact that you did not apply cruelty to yourself all at once. In the next video, we will break down another Machiavelli hit. What is better, to be loved or to be feared? And the answer will surprise you. Like this video if you are ready to at least think about change. And if you are already changing your life, write in the comments what kind of cruelty you applied first. This has been a History and Psychology channel. Remember, your personality is not Turkey, it is France, and it has many small lords. See you.